How's it going, guys? Welcome to Audio Addiction. We have
Chris from I Was Awake, and I sing and play rhythm guitar.
awesome, Chris. Well, as we were talking about pre this interview, I was trying to figure out the last time we did an interview, and I think we stumbled upon the answer of about 2 years. So, um, what has happened? What has been going on with the band? Because I feel like now you guys are starting to pick up on, like, I just saw like a music video you guys posted recently and stuff like that. So, what's been going on in the When I Was Awake camp, and how have you guys kind of progressed over like the 2 years since the last time we interviewed?
Yeah, so I think the last time we chatted, I think it was right before. It was either right before or right after our full length came out.
I think it was after. I'm almost positive, but
Yeah, so our full length was called Facade, and that was, I think how many tracks was it? I think it was like 11 tracks. So we did that, and we did a music video for that, for a song off that one called The End, which I don't think was out when we last chatted either.
I don't think so. I don't think that was out either.
So we've done a couple things. So one of the biggest changes is I feel like our sounds changed a lot. We went from being a 5-piece to a 4-piece. Before I was mostly doing just dedicated lead vocals, like doing some third guitar on a few songs.
Mm-hmm.
But one of our guitar players left. So we were trying to find maybe like another guitar player for a little bit, and but then we just decided, like, well, let's just go with the 4-piece route. I'll just play and sing all the time, and our lead player still handles the leads, and we do some stuff together where we're both kind of playing off each other. But I'm most rhythm, but so I feel like because of that, our sound actually changed a lot. So since then we've done a few things. We haven't put out any dedicated like record or anything. We're working towards that now, actually. But we've put out 2 original singles and a few covers, actually. So we put out in 2017, late 2017, a song called "Pre-Existing Condition," which is probably our most aggressive song to date.
Yeah.
I like probably at least 50 to 60% of the vocals is all aggressive vocals, which
Yeah.
I kind of do here and there, but that one was kind of like full tilt right from the get-go, which is really fun because it was kind of like our first step moving towards a little more aggressive sound. So we actually, that song, we just got word. We've been talking with, and I think I'm allowed to say this even though it's not out yet, I'm sure, because the game's been out, but we haven't been in it. There's a game through Harmonix in Boston. They did like Guitar Hero, Rock Band, all the big ones.
Yeah.
They had a game called Audica, and we're actually, that song is going to be featured as a new download in the game, so people can actually, play it and have our song in there, which is kind of cool. And I was told actually that it's the first song, I think, in the game that's not, and maybe this is inaccurate, but I think what my bass player said is it's the first song in the game that's not in 4/4 time signature. So we're like, yes, like, so that's really exciting. We just literally finished up the paperwork for that like 2 days ago.
Sick.
So I don't know when it's coming out, but keep your eyes out if anybody plays that game. It'll be a download. I guess it's like a free download. I haven't played the game myself, but
neither have I, so I don't know.
yeah. So that's cool. So that song's been out for a while, and when we released that, we also released a B-side cover of Pigs, 3 different ones by Pink Floyd.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, so that was really fun to do. We're all big Pink Floyd fans, and we're like, okay, let's kind of make this, still kind of true to the original. There's still a lot of layers, keyboards, all that stuff. Our friend Jeff played keyboards on it, and but let's make it a little heavier, a little more us. So that was really fun. We haven't got to play it live just because there wasn't really a show where you can play like a 12-minute long song. And that we could get, our buddy to come and play keyboards for, because he's not, in the group. So we did that, and then we actually we just in between that and our newest single, we put out a cover of Mailman by Soundgarden, which, yeah, we're also all big Soundgarden fans. And, it was a huge loss when Chris passed.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
he's one of my favorite vocalists of all time. He's one of my biggest influences. And so we put out a cover on the anniversary of his death, to just because we played it live a couple times after he passed away, and then also we just wanted to do something. Like, we knew it was going to get, we didn't know how many plays or downloads, but we were like, you know what, let's put this out and try to like give the proceeds to a good cause.
Yeah.
And so we put that out, and that was really fun too, because like I said, we just love Soundgarden, and being able to just kind of take that song and put a little bit of a twist on it. It's fairly straight, in terms of a cover, but so we put that out in 2018, I believe it was. 2018, yeah. May of 2018, and then Collectors is our newest single, which came out about a year ago. And we started working on the music video a few months after it came out, and then it had to get pushed aside for a little bit. Just we had a lot of other stuff going on.
Sure. Yeah.
And our director that does all our videos, Dom Bortala from Door 11 Productions, fantastic, and great friend. He had a lot going on as well in terms of his projects. We're like, all right, well, like let's develop the storyline a little bit more, because we already shot the live band portion, and we'll get back when we can and finish it up. So we actually just finished that up now that we had a little time.
Sure. Yeah.
As everybody does right now. So we just dropped that. I think it was 3 or 4 weeks ago, and the response has been amazing. We're super proud of it. It's just got this vibe. It's a pretty dark song. There's moments of levity in the video, but the whole message of the song was just talking about addiction and mental health. And we once again wanted to, even though a lot of our materials it's fairly heavy and serious in nature. What was fun about that video is Dom had the idea to kind of make it, because the biggest call out in that video is against the drug industry and the opiate addiction.
Yeah.
And how things are overprescribed, or people are misdiagnosed and just kind of said, here you go, and just kind of thrown away, which is just a terrible, terrible disservice.
Yeah.
So he had the idea of, well, why don't we make this kind of like a mock drug commercial? You see all these ones on TV for Alice, and all these people skipping around and dancing, having a good time, smiling, and it's like, well, why don't we do that, but kind of like take it and twist it a little bit. And like, as we talked about it, and as I just said, we're big Soundgarden fans. We're like, what if we like just kind of like black hole sun it, just make it like really, over the top, kind of thing, and just still have it be dark, but have it be a little light, because the song is so dark. And we put it out, and like I said, it's gotten, like, we've gotten so much great feedback. It's probably I'd say I speak for the band when I say that it's our most, it's probably the song we're most proud of that we've put out.
Yeah.
So that's our most recent thing, and we've just been working towards. We have a bunch of other new music in the pipeline that we've been demoing, and right now, our bass player Kyle, he like put together a Google Drive of just like all the demos we have for the new record.
Yeah.
And some of the releases. We have the two singles we put out will be on that. So we can kind of like map it out, kind of sequence it, and see like how it flows and what fits and maybe what doesn't, what we should like kind of shelf for like a B-side or like the next one or whatever. And we've just been writing and demoing stuff. So
no, that's it's extremely thoughtful, because like I try to keep up with all the people that I have on to do audio addiction now. The laundry list is getting bigger, so it's a little bit harder to keep up with everybody. But I check out a lot of the stuff that you guys do, and the last music video, the most current one you guys released, I was just like, they're really stepping it up, like production level wise. Like the song was fantastic, and I'm excited for the new singles because I feel like if you guys are kind of going in that direction, that I'll be very excited for like the newest material when it comes out. Um, so how do
Thank
you
you.
feel like from jumping from like doing the vocals and guitars? I mean, I feel like you're not unfamiliar with playing guitar. So how has that kind of like changed the band dynamic? Do you feel like everything is a little bit more like, I guess, collected now? Like now that you feel like, oh, okay, now we're a four piece, like now we can really kind of like hone in on stuff. And did you guys kind of had like a second thought of like, oh, maybe we should get another guitar player, like, and then what ultimately, I guess, made you guys decide like, Chris, maybe we feel like you should play guitar and do vocals as opposed to maybe getting another member and have him come in?
Yeah, I think in terms of the way things have changed in terms of like the writing and who does what is we kind of I don't want to say we simplified things, but we kind of I feel like we started focusing, and we've always focused on like the songs,
Sure, yeah.
and like um, like kind of honing in on what was essential and what maybe didn't need to be there, things like that. Our guitar player Dan is really great at like taking and like we'll like have a song, we'll start demoing it, and then kind of breaking it down. We listen back and we'll be like, well, does this section really need to go for that long? Or should we add something else here to make the turn to go back into this like a little better? So that's something we've always focused on, but I think the fact that, and I'll just say, like I've been playing guitar since I was 15 years old, but I've never ever been more than a rhythm guitar player. I've used it as like a tool. I've
Sure,
always
yeah.
come to set I focus more on my vocals. So um, with that said, our old guitar player Justin was really great. Had wrote really great riffs and had a lot of really great counterparts with Dan. Um, that I feel like some of the counterpart stuff kind of went away a little bit because it was for live purposes. Like I'm gonna have to sing and play this stuff, and just my chops aren't what Justin's
Sure,
are.
yeah.
So it was kind of like, okay, how can we still make this work with the old songs, with the new songs? And it wasn't that we simplified things, it was just that, and the way I play guitar is different. So I think it was just more of, some of it was more of, let's focus even more so on the songwriting and how parts move together, and then we'll kind of work the flourishes in there to still keep it sounding like what we are,
Yeah.
but like we're evolving. We're always evolving. As bands are always evolving. Like a band that we look up to, like a huge amount, is Thrice.
Yeah.
And you listen to their first record and you listen to their most recent record, and you're like, this is the same band. Like this is crazy. And so I always think it's great when bands kind of change their style or evolve based whether on their stylistic or their situation. So for me, it was like, in our situation, we had some shows booked and we hadn't found another guitar player. So there was like, I think one or two shows where it was like, I did my vocals, we did a 4-piece thing, one guitar, bass, drums, and then and I would still play guitar on the songs I used to play guitar on. And then we were like, okay, we started kind of talking to some other people. We did a show with a friend of ours filled in on guitar. Our buddy Jim did a show with us, and that was really great, but he just didn't have the time to fit us
Sure.
into being a full-time member. And we started kind of throwing around the ideas of working with some other people, and it just came down to, then we did a couple shows with me playing guitar on every song, and it was kind of supposed to be just a placeholder thing. And then we're like, you know what, this is working out really great, and it's we still have the same vibe. We don't have to try to bring somebody else in and get them up to speed or anything. Let's just move forward with this, and I think it's working really great. So
Yeah, because like I said, I try to go back and take a listen to like some of the stuff. And when I hit you up to do like an interview, I was like, let me go take a listen to like old stuff when like I was first doing interviews and stuff, and then listen to stuff now that you've currently released. And I was really surprised, and like you had mentioned before, Thrice, like I feel like you guys are kind of in the same boat where like you guys kind of had to adapt to the situation. Like, obviously losing another member sucks, and some bands can do it super well, and some bands can do it, unfortunately poorly. But I felt like in your guys' case, like the way you guys transitioned, it didn't feel like you lost anything, if that makes any sense. Like I feel like you guys kind of felt like you again kind of reinvented yourself, but it didn't seem so far as like, oh my god, like what happened to Chris's band, like I have no idea what happened to them. It does feel the same, and I appreciate that. And obviously I didn't mention it in any comments or anything, but I felt like there was a good change of like, okay, there's stuff that's going on that is different from what they're doing, but it still has that like core sound that when I go back and listen to it, I'm like, okay, it sounds exactly as I imagine it to be, just maybe one less member, which isn't really a big deal. So,
Yeah. Well, another thing that I was trying to think back to like the timeline of when we last chatted, and I think I'm trying to remember if Shawn was in the band at that time. So Shawn, our drummer, has been with us since late 2017, and he's one of my best friends since like middle school, and we play in a we play in a number of other groups together, and have over the years, and Shawn's style is very different than our old drummer Chris's style, and that kind of obviously changes things too. Like
sure.
Shawn might do a really great job with the old songs when we play them. We've been playing mostly new songs in our set, so we'll just play like a couple old ones. But his writing style and his drumming style is quite different than what we had before with Chris too. So between that and then so it was like Shawn came on, and then we were still doing stuff for a little while, and we were already starting to kind of evolve and change. And then Justin left, and then I feel like we changed a little bit more after that. But the stuff we've been working on now, I like can't be happier with the way it's come together. Like the last song we worked on, and I'll say this: all our songs for the last, I want to say like 2 years, all the tentative titles are like dumb little throwaway quotes. Well, I shouldn't say throwaway; they're all great. Just little pieces of like inside jokes from Billy Madison.
That's awesome.
So our newest song that we're working on, so Collectors was as we were working on it, was called Those Are Z's, because there's the scene where he's writing on the chalkboard, he's trying to write in cursive, and he writes for Rudo.
That's awesome. Yeah.
But the newest song we're working on, it's tentatively titled I Stole This Shirt from Frank. Yeah.
That's great.
So the newest song, it's got this really fun vibe, and it just kind of it came together so quickly. Like I think it came together in like 2 practices.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we just started improvising on something, and a lot of times like we do things very different ways. Like Collectors was very much like Kyle had a bunch of riffs, Dan had a few riffs, I had some vocal ideas, and Shawn had some groove ideas, and we like started working on pieces of it, but people had like preconceived things that they kind of brought to the table, which is like, I'd say when we write our songs, it's kind of 50-50. Nowadays it's like half people have pieces they'll bring in that they've kind of been working on, and the other half will just be stuff we jam on in their room. We're like, oh, that's cool, let's record that real quick, and then we'll come back and kind of piece it together. And that one was very much, we just started jamming on a couple things, and it was like very ambient, very like just kind of like moody.
Yeah.
And it just evolved into this thing where it's got this kind of fast intro, and then all of a sudden it kind of turns, and it's got this kind of like ambient, floaty, but heavy thing, and it's come together really, really quickly, and I'm starting to write vocals for that now, and try to start doing some demos, and when we finally can get back to in a room together, we can finish it up. But
that's awesome. I'm glad the process is going smoothly. Like, I feel like when you kind of like shift around members, or you have like different things, sometimes the whole ecosystem of a band can get kind of like off kilter a little bit. So that's awesome. And I guess you can kind of elaborate on the two singles that you guys kind of have in the works, and hopefully working towards, obviously you're saying a full length or an EP or something like that. So what are the two singles kind of in relation to? Are they like, I guess lyrically, are they kind of in the same sort of like boat? Like sound wise, are they kind of in the same boat? Or are you guys trying to like experiment and do different stuff since, we're all under quarantine and you're allowed to kind of like do different things? So do you feel like during this time you guys are doing like more experimentation and kind of seeing like what are the bounds we can, create in terms of like sound wise?
Yeah, I think in terms of the lyrics on these two songs, they're different in terms of the subject matter, but they're not so different in terms of how they're related. I've been finding that in the past 4 years, as I'm sure a lot of people have been feeling, and whatever, I don't want to put words in people's mouths or ideas and how they've been feeling, but I feel very okay saying that us as a band have been very displeased by what's been going on politically.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think our a lot of the stuff we've been writing about has, and I've always kind of had, pieces of stuff that kind of weigh into that. But a lot of this stuff is kind of right on the nose of being like, hey, we think this is fucked up, and we're gonna talk about it. And I know a lot of bands are doing that, and I think that's fine. I don't think that's an oversaturation of the subject matter by any means, because I think it's important to talk about it.
Sure. Yeah.
So a lot of the songs like Pre-Existing Condition is very much just a call out to the administration and a lot of the things that disgust us about it. And there's also there's a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek stuff with the title, because I like there are members of our bands that do actually have pre-existing conditions, and certain laws and things that have been put in place make a lot of stuff difficult for people that are in that situation.
Sure.
Or have things of that nature. So we kind of have that in there, and then it's also kind of an inside joke of like, well, this guy that's in charge might have some sort of something wrong with him. So we kind of, we try. Like I said, we talk about very serious stuff, but we try to sneak in little bits of levity here and there, because when you play a show, when people are going to a show, they're having a good time, and if you go to see us, we're not the band that like doesn't talk on stage, like we're very much like jokey and stuff like that. We're all just like fun, we have fun. We're all friends. This thing was just yelling at me. Our band is friends. We're just a bunch of friends playing music, and that's kind of always how it has been. So we always have fun together, and we try to keep that going when we do shows or we write. So, and then Collectors, like I said, is very much more about things that are going on with like healthcare and particularly misdiagnosing, mismedicating, throwing away people that some professionals might not feel are worth their time. And then we've got other songs that there's a song we played a couple times live, and then we decided to kind of come back to it to rework some stuff. But that one was about some of the things that have gone on with the Me Too movement, and kind of talking about that a bit. So it's a very serious record. Not that our last one wasn't, but it's more, the last one was a little more personal. It was more about our personal lives, and this is more of like a collective of everybody together, which is something that we all feel is really, really important at a time like this.
Yeah.
In our history. So it's some pretty heavy stuff, and it's been fun too, working on we started experimenting with new tunings guitar wise.
There you go.
So yeah, and that's been super fun. Like collectors is in so we usually our usual tuning for like everything on facade was we were half step down, and then we would drop the lowest string to do drop D, but it was
Oh,
drop C sharp. Um, the newest the last two songs we've put well no not pre-existing, but the last two songs we've been working on, including collectors, is in a drop B. So it's like just got that heavier kind
yeah.
of thing on. Yeah, and then we had another one that we've been playing live called Apparition, and that one is actually it's in our old tuning, so the half step down tuning, but then we take the low string and we drop it to an A sharp, so that the bottom two strings are an octave of each other, which is a tuning once again that Soundgarden used a
Yeah.
bunch. And it just gives this really cool thing in terms of what you can do with chords and riffs and stuff like that. So I feel like that whole avenue of working with different tunes. I mean, it's made it a bitch live to
I'm
guitars and
sure, yeah.
stuff. But in terms of what we've been writing, it's really definitely changed the vibe and the stuff we've been coming up with.
Well, that's awesome. I'm like I said, I'm excited. I'm glad you guys are speaking about stuff that, is important to you as a band, because I feel like when you listen to songs like that, when you have a band, and like when I'm listening to songs, like, because I listen to so much different music, like when I hear conviction behind people's voices, that's like what makes me draw closer to a band. If you can hear like kind of like the anger, you can feel like the certain emotions about, can be any variation of emotion, like in a track, that strikes me more than just like, okay, cool, they played this cool riff, or they like did this cool like solo or whatever. I think something that just strikes at me as like emotionally, I think something that I will grow to love even more, as the days go on, rather than something that's just like, okay, that's a cool riff. Like, I'll remember it because I'm a guitar player, just because that's what I feel like. That's like my home. But I feel like for most people that are listening to music, a lot of this stuff is like, like when you see people, they have like tattoos of like lyrics. It's because that meant a lot to them, at a certain time. So whenever I hear like a good song, and I'm just like, wow, the instrumentals are really great, but then when I could also hear the lyrics and like the passion behind it, I think that just kind of sells it over the top for me in terms of like artists and stuff. So I feel like you guys really kind of nail nail it on the head with a lot of the stuff that I think people feel in today's current climate. And so, I'm glad that people like you are speaking about like, the drug industry, people speaking about like more political stuff. I think it's important for, people to have a voice and be able to speak about that sort of thing. So I have to give you guys a lot of props for that.
Thank you, man. It's something that we're very passionate about, and we've always kind of tried to flaunt the line between the two in terms of having like a vocal kind of out front, and like you said, something that speaks to and is memorable and moves people, but also kind of appealing also to like people that are like the guitar players and musicians. Because we are, even though we lean more towards like a heavier rock, we are a progressive band, and a lot of the people that listen to that music are musicians
Yeah.
and are listening for the technical twist or something like that, and so that's something too that I think with the changes we've made in the band in terms of the sound, that we still flaunt with, flirt with that a little bit. We kind of like we walk the line of like I said before, like let's see what we can do to make sure like this song, is hooky, moves people, but also like gets a little dirty, gets a little technical. Like we're always
Yeah.
kind of which I think is just the nature of this kind of genre of music.
Yeah, I feel like you guys find a good balance between like it being like more technically prowess, but also like not taking away from like, if I saw it at a show, like I'd be like, wow, this is great, like live, but also like it's cool because then I could just see like Chris playing some cool riff, or like somebody else, and I'm like, okay, that's cool, but also like musically, it's like, wow, this is really great too. So excited for the new tunes, Chris.
Thank you.
And yeah, so the next thing would be, I like asking some like rehash questions that we had previous interviews. So the first one would be, what have you been jamming recently? I feel like everybody's holed up at home. So have you been listening to music, and who have you been listening to?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what I've been. I mean, I've been listening to a lot of like a lot of live stream type things, or like broadcasts or
Yeah.
release new releases of old concerts. Like I've checked out a couple of the Metallica Mondays things, which have been super fun, and they're really well put together. Like they're mixed really great. Um, so I checked out a couple of those. Um, and what else was I listening to? Oh, so I know we talked about them last time, but still, one of our band's favorites is Oh Brother just put out a new single called Killing Spree, which is amazing, and their singer Tanner did a live stream a few days ago, just at his house, just playing solo, and that was awesome, just like so awesome. And then I'm trying to think of like what records I've been like listening to. There was some stuff that came out like right before um, this all went down. Like I remember, yeah, mid-February, and it's so funny because a lot of people are like kind of like aren't into it or whatever, but I really enjoyed the new Ozzy record. Like,
Yeah. Okay.
I think it's really fun, and I know it is. It is what it is. It's very much a pop record. It was very much put together by a producer, but I think he did a great job, and he played guitar on it, and he's a great guitar player. So I was listening to that a lot for a few weeks. And what else? I'm trying to remember what else I've been listening to. Oh, once again, I know we talked about them before, and they're our hometown buddies, but Caspian put out a new record on Circles, and that's just awesome as well. Just they constantly are one of those other bands that evolves
Yeah.
and just continues to impress every time they put something out. Um, what else? I'm trying to think. My fiance's been doing like a playlist, like like a quarantine, like yeah. She just puts out like on her Instagram like a song a day. So I've
Oh,
been
okay. Yeah.
yeah, so it's like that just something that kind of vibes with her for that day, and or something like that, she just wanted to put up. We were lucky enough we made that playlist because the music video came out, in that time. But so I've been listening to a lot of stuff she's been playing, which is all over the map because she's got a very eclectic taste as well. So
Yeah, I've been
how about
seeing
you?
those. I've been seeing those like 30-day challenges, like where you pick a song, like you're like, this song came out when I was born or whatever.
Oh
Um,
yeah, I
so
need to
I've
do
been
one.
seeing those. I might redo. I did one last year, so I might have to do another one on the
Nice.
Instagram. But what I've been listening to recently, I've been so dead set on this band Loathe. They're from the UK. They kind of remind me of like a young Deftones,
No
and
kidding.
so they're fantastic. They put out a new record in February, I think. Yeah, February. Um, I let it in, and it took everything. It was on Sharp Tone Records. Fantastic records. It's still one of my favorites of this year. It probably will be an album of the year. I don't know, top five easily at this point. So, um, been jamming them a lot. Love their stuff. Real kind of like ethereal, like ambient sort of stuff, but like real heavy too. Because I'm almost positive both their guitar players use like baritone guitars, so they have that
Okay.
real like low kind of sound, but it's awesome.
Yes, I have to
Um,
check that out. That sounds like it's right up my alley.
it's great. Can confirm it's awesome.
Nice.
Other than that, oh boy. Um, I've been listening to August Burns Red's newest records, Guardians. They're a fantastic. I love them so much. I mean, I have probably a real big bias because they're from Lancaster, but they play Philly as like a hometown show all the time. So I feel like I gotta rep them a lot. Um, and then I guess like out of the cuff sort of bands, there's this like pop rock kind of band. They're called the band Camino. They're fantastic. They're kind of more like hooky. But I love that stuff's like super catchy. Like if you're looking for like a good like pop hook, oof, they're great. So I'd say those kind of run the gamut of what I'm listening to currently. But that's what I'm currently listening to. But I would highly recommend Loathe, Chris. Go check them out.
Definitely, I'm gonna check that out.
But the next question is another fun one. Chris, if you were to create a musical supergroup, who would be in your band?
Oh man. So this is like, let's see. Oh,
You
that's
can
really tough.
you can opt to choose to put yourself in the group, or you can opt out and then have somebody else replace you as like vocalist, guitar player. It's up to you.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people I'd love to play with. Um, yeah. Oh man, that's really hard. If I was to put together a group that I wasn't involved in, because then it would be a super group.
It
Because
would. Oh, come on, Chris. Give yourself a little more credit, bud.
Man, that's really tough. I'm trying to think of. So let me start. I guess I'll start like vocals and work backwards. Um, I'd have to put somebody like Cornell.
Ooh, okay, yeah.
I loved everything that guy did, and it's so versatile. And then in terms of guitar, um, man, it'd be really cool to see. I did a metal. I put together like a fake metal supergroup with my buddy, and it had, it was like, oh, man, it was so good. So I kind of don't. I kind of want to just list that because it was great. But I'll go into that after because it's just really fun. But yeah, maybe somebody like. So Chris would play it and sing on it.
Okay.
And I know they work together, but then maybe somebody like. I'm going to make this a 3-guitar band. Chris sings and plays guitar sometimes, but we have 2 dueling lead players, and it might not make sense, but like maybe like someone like Slash and like David Gilmour.
Ooh, okay. I'm
Right.
feeling this. This is cool. Yeah, I'm about this.
Then that way you got like, I've never heard like Dave. Dave will play some like heavier stuff, but he doesn't really play a lot of riffs. So you got 2 guys that play riffs. You got Cornell and you got Slash that play riffs. But then you also got like 2 bluesy dudes that do like amazing moving leads. And then on bass, I'm also trying to think of like backup vocals.
Oh, interesting. Okay, this is getting cool. I'm about it.
You got Gilmore to do some vocals too. Bass. Man, that's really tough. Well, just because it would be an interesting sound, why don't we just like throw like Justin Chancellor in there? Even
Okay.
though, because it would just make it like way different. I don't know if any of this would work together. Probably
It's
not.
okay. That's why it's a dream, Chris.
Yeah, and then drums. You know what? Let's say Abe Cunningham. We were talking about Deftones, and that dude is versatile as hell.
Ooh, okay.
And then maybe you could add in like a keyboard player that does some vocals. Like, who would be good for that? I don't want to just put another member of Pink Floyd in there, so I'm not going to say Rick
I
Wright.
have someone, but I'm not gonna say it because this is your thing. So I'm gonna.
No, I want to hear it.
I think Jordan Rudess from Dream Theater would be very interesting.
That would be very interesting, because then you got like the 2 like super prog guys, the kind of blues rock, slightly progressive. Because I'd say Slash does some weird progressive stuff
He
sometimes.
does, yeah.
And then you got Cornell for the prog, the crooning, the screaming, the sludgy, grunge riffs. You got like all this different stuff, and it's amazing. So I'll put a stamp on that. Thank you for your contribution. I like that.
Awesome. That sounds great. And then what was the other one you said you had? Like,
Oh,
I'm curious what
so
you had for this.
okay, so I'm trying. I think it was. I'm trying to remember exactly what it was, but it was something like, and it's so funny because like obviously everyone knows their history, but like, so you have Dave Mustaine. This would be a four piece. So you have
Okay.
Dave Mustaine, and then you also have James Hetfield, and I know they were in Metallica together, but so then you have them. So you got like these two killer guitar
Yeah.
players that both can do leads. They both can sing, even though some people like aren't so crazy on Dave's vocals. I love Dave's vocals, but I think him and James vocally together, like as like a dual lead, some harmonies here and there, would be super cool. They'd kill each other, but it would be super cool. And then on, I think I'm trying to remember on drums, we might have just snagged we might have snagged from Megadeth. Wait, did we snag from Megadeth? I'm trying to remember. I think we snagged Nick Menza from Megadeth. I think we wanted him because just all that the era of Megadeth he was in was just like amazing. And then I think on bass, just because it was like, okay, let's get another like weird oddball metal guy in there that does like gritty bass with a pick and also does vocals. We grabbed Tom from Slayer.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It was just like fun. Like we were just talking about it at work one day, and we're like, "Oh, this would be funny." Like, it would never work, but
Yeah, Dave. Oh man. Yeah, that would be very interesting to see them not kill each other.
I know that'd be the best part.
Oh, that's awesome. I like both answers. I might be a little bit biased. I like the first answer a little bit more, but I
That's
think I think it is very tight. That was put you on the spot. So I'm glad you came out with something sick. But the next question, Chris, if there was one album that you wish you wrote, what album would it be?
oh man. I'm probably just gonna have to go back to my Pink Floyd roots on this, and probably say Dark Side of the Moon. That just every time I listen to that album, it never gets old, and it's amazing that it exists. It blows me away. They're one of my favorite bands of all time, probably my favorite band of all time, and just what they did on that album is just unbelievable.
It's such a classic record, It's like one of those ones that you would like show your kids and be like, this came out like a decade. I mean, not a decade, longer than that. This came out like, almost 50 years ago or something, So
Oh, I plan on it. Like that's my when I have kids, their musical education is going to be it's going to start with that. But I probably will also start them with something lighter because I mean that one's not. It's like got like dark moments. It's not like
yeah,
it's The Wall. Like if you listen to The Wall, I remember there was a period of time where I was listening to The Wall a lot back when I was in college, and my buddy Ryan was like, "Hey, dude," he was like kind of half kidding, but also, he was like, "Be careful with that." He was like, "I listened to that for like 2 weeks straight, and I was like, not okay." And I and I hear you. It's like it's very heavy. It's very depressing, but it's
yeah,
also amazing. And, Dark Side doesn't really do that. Especially for like if you're like younger and you're listening to it, you're just like, "Whoa, what is this?" And what are they singing about? This is so weird. Why is that woman screaming? Like stuff like that. But
yeah. I remember my first experience listening to that record, and it's life changing, obviously.
it really is.
So, and then one last question, Chris. What would be one artist that people wouldn't expect you to listen to? Like one artist you'd just be like, not that you're scared of admitting, but what would be one that you'd be like, like Chris listens to this type of music. I would never expect him to listen to this artist.
Oh man. Let me see. I'm trying to think of. I mean, a lot of the people that are in our band and a lot of our friends, know that I'm a big '80s hair metal guy. So I guess I can't really go there, even though I listen to like, I don't listen to it too much right now. It's, as one of my buddies, Matt, always says, some of it's like very much summer music, I feel like. But outside of that, I'm trying to think of something I listened to recently that I've wanted to put on again, and that was I was surprised that I liked it, and I think there's two that come to mind, and I don't think I even know the names of either of them, but there are two records that my fiance showed me that are both very different. They're both pop records, but one of them I put it on. I was like, this is so like progressive. Like this is like a very prog record, and that one was, there was this record that came out a few years ago, I guess, from Beyonce, where I think Kate told me it was like all about like has to do with like the whole like thing with like her husband, with like Jay-Z like cheated on her or something, and she wrote this whole album about it. And she put it on one time in the car. We were on our way back from somewhere. It was like a long drive. Mm-hmm. And we listened to the whole thing, and I just was like, this is so good. And just so like, some newer pop music is like very prog. It's like kind of all over the map, and I'm surprised that it does as well. I mean, I think why it does is because of the other people that are involved. Not to discredit an artist, but in terms of like the people they work with and the way it's produced and the way it's marketed is what makes it more palatable to people that listen to like 2.5 minute pop bangers, like to get into something like that. So I really like that one, and then actually I really enjoyed that newer Harry Styles record.
Oh, okay, yeah, the newest one, yeah.
Yeah, but it's cool. It's got like a lot of like old school. It's got a lot of like '80s vibes. Like it's got a kind of like it's got some like Bowie to it, but then it's got some like acoustic kind of like, not acoustic so much, but some more subdued kind of older pop stuff, like '90s vibes to it. It kind of is a little all over the place, and his vocals are really great. It was really well done, and once again, it was something that she got as a recommendation from a friend, and then she started listening to it and really liked it, and then she put it on in the car one day. We were going somewhere, and I was like, this is really great. Like, I would totally listen to this all the time. So that's actually something I wanted to get back to. So in terms of, like, I can't think off the top of my head of, like, a band that I listen to that someone would be surprised that I do, but in terms of, like, recent stuff I've heard that I've wanted to revisit that I really like, those are definitely two.
I wouldn't have picked those two, as I wouldn't have picked Harry Styles or Beyonce. So I think you got me.
I wasn't sure. I totally was like caught off guard by it. I was like, this is really cool.
Yeah, no, those both sound great. I did listen to the Harry Styles one, and I was like, wow, this is like very good pop music, but also like totally like not run of the mill, like like heavily produced stuff. It's like sounds very like unique. So I got to give him credit. Shouts to Harry Styles.
Yeah.
And then the last thing, Chris, the most important thing, tell them about your band, where they can find you at on social media, and anything coming up, in the foreseeable future. I'm not going to say months because we don't know.
Yeah, no idea right now. We already canceled one show. So I'm Chris. I sing and play guitar for I Was Awake. And you can find us on, obviously, Facebook.com/IWasAwake. iwasawake.bandcamp.com, youtube.com/iwasawakeband. I think that's the same for Twitter, Instagram at iwasawake. We're on Spotify, Pandora. Is iTunes still a thing? I think that's gone now. Apple Music, maybe.
I think so.
Yeah. Our we actually have some tracks that are pending to get added to all of those. Our album Facade and our self-titled EP are both on all those platforms already, but all our stuff's on our Bandcamp, including like our cover songs and things like that. I think that's all our socials. Check out our new music video for collectors. It's on our Facebook. I don't know if you feel like linking to it, you can.
Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's where we're at, and we'll see what happens in terms of shows. We were excited to book some stuff for the summer, but who knows at this point. we're just gonna keep demoing stuff and trying to put together our new album. So
I don't think anybody really knows, so I'll give you credit for that. But you
yeah.
should go check out Chris's band, I Was Awake. There will be links in the description where you can check out his band. Go follow him on Spotify. Go pick up the stuff on Bandcamp. I know a lot of bands out there now are struggling, so if you have some extra dough, feel free to give it out to the bands that you really love. It's definitely, I'm sure they appreciate it more than you ever know. I'll leave a link to the music video. Check that out too. I think it was one of their best music videos, and I'm not just saying that because Chris is on here. I really do genuinely feel like it was awesome, and I'm excited to hear the rest of the new music when it comes out. And if you enjoy this interview, share it, like it, subscribe. It goes a long way. Like I said, go check out Chris's band, I Was Awake. The links will be below. And thanks, of course, to Chris for coming on and deciding to chat again with me.
Well, thanks for having me. Just want to say big shout outs to my bandmates. We haven't seen each other in quite a bit, and I miss all of them. So Dan, Kyle, Shawn, we'll try to do like another one of these at some point. Maybe we can all like either a Zoom call or like maybe we'll be in a room together at that point. Who knows? But I hope all those dudes are doing well. We're talking every day, and also a big shout out to our buddy Dom, who created the entire Collectors music video. So miss you guys. Thank you, Brandon, for having me on, and I just hope that everybody's doing okay, staying safe, staying healthy, being smart, and like being there for each other. Just saying hi to your friends you haven't seen in a while. Doing things like this where you actually can see a person.
Yeah,
we did
I feel that.
Did one of those the other night with a couple people, and it was really fun. And so yeah, just hope everybody's doing okay.